In another hour that afternoon, a handful of Americans, perhaps 100 in all, held the town of Vierville, and we were hanging on for dear life. Later in the afternoon, we held sections of the coastal highway, and we made our way under intense fire and bombardment to Saint Laurent, the next town. By nightfall, we had penetrated the outer reaches of the town. By early morning, after a night of continuous firefights, Saint Laurent fell, and we moved inland. Moving inland meant going through the Normandy farmlands and the treacherous hedgerow country. We were headed for the small city of St. Lo, a main crossroads city about 20 miles inland. The battles of the hedgerow, the bocage, the French called them, were in conditions we were not accustomed to or prepared for. A hedgerow is a mound of earth 4 or 5 feet tall, 3 feet wide, with thick, tall foliage on top, used by the farmers as fences. They were impenetrable, couldn't see through them. No idea what was on the other side. Great for the German defense, dangerous for the American army trying to advance. It took us a month through slow, treacherous going to get to St. Lo. Hills were especially difficult. We would take a hill, the Germans would retake it the next day, yard by yard, through the hedgerows. A terrifying labyrinth. Unthinkable casualties. As bad as D-Day, only more prolonged. We finally made it to St. Lo, where the Germans were massed in an effort to prevent a breakthrough into the interior of France. They hoped to engage us in a prolonged stalemate in Normandy, and they came close to succeeding. St. Lo fell on July the 18th. I did not see much of the city then. That was a month and a half after D-Day. I did not see much of the city because I was hit coming in on the final assault, struck twice with mortar shrapnel an hour and a half apart. Basically superficial wounds, but the Army kept me out for 6 weeks in a field hospital behind the lines. I rejoined the 29th Division in September as they were on their way to northern France, and not long after Germany. Our first battle on German soil was Aachen, near the French border. We fought through western Germany. Our sector was a kind of a bleak coal mining region. We ended the war, or the winter, by the way, was spent trying to cross the Ruhr River in central Germany. A terrible time we had in the winter, terribly bad winter. They hadn't had a winter like that in 100 years, they said, and they hadn't had one like it since. We ended the war May 1945 on the banks of the Elbe River in northern Germany, not far from Berlin. The Russians were on the other side. One of the towns the 29th Division went through along Omaha Beach was Colville. It is now the site of the U.S. military cemetery for Normandy. It is the place, truly, that never fails to move visitors. More than anything else, it is the emotional center for the Battle of Normandy. 9,386 graves there, row after row of them from the 29th Division and the 1st Division. It is a place that speaks to you. A beautiful beautiful place, at once saddening and liberating. It overlooks Omaha Beach, now white sand and pebbles, peaceful, pristine, a far cry from the carnage of 72 years ago. The graves all face westward towards home. Here it is always Memorial Day, this quiet cemetery, both a place of reflection and a retreat for the spirit. Returning 2 years ago for the 70th anniversary was especially meaningful. Visiting the cemetery meant we were together again. It is hard to describe the emotions as we stood by the sides of fallen soldiers. Our band played Eventide and Nearer, My God, to Thee. Looking out over the graves to Omaha Beach below, and just beyond the water in the channel, brought a vision to me of our young soldiers coming in on those small boats, many in the last moments of their lives. Omaha Beach on D-Day was truly heart-stopping. When I got back from the Army, I did not have nightmares or fall down at loud noises. But I thought about the war. I thought about it every day. How I made it through that terrible day. Or the whole war, really. When so many didn't. Those days have lived with me forever. They shaped my young life forever. And there, on the 70th anniversary on Omaha Beach, I finally got to the place in life where I can say without shame that nights in the foxholes and the ditches in the bombed-out buildings of Europe, I shook and trembled, and yes, I cried at the things I saw and had to do that day. My contribution to those extraordinary war years was pretty small, but I was honored to serve with some very brave soldiers. Thank you for your kind attention. God bless America.